I'm Courtney.
And I'm Sarah.
And this is Bonus Tipplers,
The podcast where we read all the books we used to steal off our grandmother's nightstands.
and then we drink about it.
On this episode, we read Linda Howard's White Lies. You'll be fine with this book if you're okay with the soap opera bullshit. Like, not like truly disturbing soap opera bullshit, like Marlena getting possessed by the devil and Luke raping Laura, but like Amnesia, and we've replaced this actor with another actor, and some light ravishing. So,
Wait a minute. Did you just count Marlena getting possessed by the devil as serious soap opera business?
well, I'm just saying that more people will be upset about that than will be upset by this book.
That's amazing. Yes. Also, if you can't watch the Fat Boys seminal classic Disorderlies because of the full body traction, then maybe skip this book.
So, how are you doing?
Hey y'all, I am doing well. It is rainy, so our wine of the day is called Rain Cloud because it hasn't stopped raining. I feel like this entire month has just been rain.
It's been good for my pitcher plant.
Yeah, it's nice. But I'm tired of it.
So, this was one of those kind of surprise, like, little silhouettes that we have so often gotten lucky with. This book is fucking delightful. It is like just a tightly written romantic suspense book, and we're excited to bring it to you.
Yes, I love it so much. This is the capery nonsense that I have been wanting since we've started this, and we've had a couple where I'm like, ooh, this is gonna be exciting, and then the guy ends up being a total bastard, and this one was a delight from start to finish. So yeah, this is our first Linda Howard, and she has been, again, if you grew up reading romance novels, she's one of the people that you have probably read. She is big into romantic suspense, and is just sold literally millions of copies. She became a writer. She decided to write when she was 9 years old. She just did it for her own enjoyment. She worked at a trucking company where she met her husband, Gary F. Howington. And she decided to, get her work published. After 21 years of penning stories for enjoyment, she submitted a novel to a publication and was very successful. So she lives in Alabama with her husband. He is a pro bass fisherman.
Oh.
And so a lot of her writing is, her on her laptop in very unglamorous locations.
I bet.
So yeah, Linda Howard, and this one is White Lies, like we said, and this one is, I think, from 1982.
Let me double check that. This is 1988.
Oh, I was way off, but still a delight. The cover is amazing.
Yeah, so the cover, so it is a silhouette special edition, so it's got kind of that purple little arch thing going on. And, okay, so the cover is great, except I can't, divorce it from, what's going on in the book when this happens. So it's a lady, and she's in a white sundress, and she's, on the ground, with the wildflowers all around in the mountains, and there's a dude who, quite frankly, doesn't look that bright. And she's, taking his shirt off.
You know what he looks like?
What does he look like?
He looks like he's a big part of Trans Am Summer.
Oh, he does. He doesn't he?
Trans Am Summer continues.
He's a little bit out of The Outsiders.
Y'all remember,
Yeah.
We're in South Carolina, and summer doesn't end until mid-October.
No, at least.
Trans Am Summer's still going.
But what I can't forget about, looking at this cover, it is a great cover, but, when this happens in the book, it's like a fall spring in Colorado, and it's fucking freezing outside. And so, she's like, oh, God, it's cold. And he's like, let's do it. So, that does temper my enjoyment of it. Let me read you the back cover. Oh, God, it's in white print, and it's hard to read. White Lies. You don't argue with the FBI. Yes, you do. You ask if you are under arrest and if you are free to go. So when they summoned Jay to identify her gravely injured, heavily bandaged ex-husband, she agreed to keep a bedside vigil. Strangely, even unconscious, Steve wasn't at all like the husband she remembered. As he struggled toward awareness, he demonstrated a strength of character, a manly power the old Steve had lacked. She looked at his dick, didn't she?
I felt like there was a dick identification implication, which we will discuss
later.
Further, but, because I want to talk about the movie Face Off.
Ironically, she was more drawn to him than ever. Ironically, what? He's way hotter than Steve. When Steve finally awoke, Jay had a unique chance to recapture and even embellish the past. But would the new Steve even share her cherished memories? You read this, and it doesn't really have anything to do with, like, the actual, like, romantic suspense of the book.
Yeah, this book is way better than that book.
Yeah, oh my God.
This book is a banger. This is a banger book.
So, let's jump into this.
This book starts in hot. Like, by page 15, we know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they are like, we are not wasting your... Linda doesn't have time. She is fly fishing or bass fishing. She has limited means and laptop power, so she is just doing this thing. So the book starts with Jay, who is overworked, modern city. She lives in New York City. You know, she's
an investment banker.
Overworked, harried, and just... You know, she's not eating. She's not taking care of herself.
But she just lost her job, so, you know, hey, guess what?
Well, yeah, she lost her job, and she comes home from this terrible day at work, where she doesn't work there anymore, and all of a sudden her doorman, I love a doorman, is like, hey, the FBI is here for you. And she's like, well, I guess you got to send them out.
Like, thanks for tipping me off, but, yeah.
We're on page 3. So she opens the door, and it's, you know, 2 G-men looking very serious, and like, we need you to come with us, ma'am. She's like, what's going on?
Well, they ascertain that her ex-husband's name is Steve, and that he has no other family, like, and nobody else, like, really in his life. Like, he was an orphan, so she is the only person who could possibly identify Steve.
Yes, and they got divorced 5 years ago, and she has not seen him since. And so she's like, well, where do we have to go? And they're like, well, we're going down to D.C., and she's like, okay, this seems strange. And, like, he's not in the, you know, he's in the military hospital. He is not in a regular hospital. And so things are just kind of, like, a little strange.
But it's, like, kind of intense. It's like a, you know,
yes,
like, ma'am, come with us, like that kind
and
of.
And, like, you know, you have time to pack, you know, a little bit of belongings, nothing else. So,
they're nice. They're polite. They're not like assholes, but,
yeah. And one of our guys, like, one of our FBI guys' name is Payne. So she gets to the military hospital.
And they warn her, okay, he's not going to look like the Steve you remember. But what we need you to do, okay, so the thing happened, of course they don't say what, and there were several people and everybody died but one person. And our guy was there, like they won't say what the guy was doing, but our guy, our man in a van or whatever, and Steve was there.
We know Steve is there because we have a part of his license, or his driver's license. And they're like, so when she gets there, my dude is in that classic 1980s full body traction cast.
Yes.
Like, just his mouth is showing. And, like, he's got his arm up, his leg up, and he has been put into a, you know, medically induced coma because his face is broken. He broke his whole ass face.
And so they tell her, okay, he's not going to look like Steve anyway.
No.
So it's not a question of waiting till the swelling goes down. He's just not going to look like Steve anyway. But what you need to do,
crushed. It's crushed, and
his hands are burned, and of course he's got broken bones and everything. So and he has to have like major eye surgery. The eyes are a big issue.
Yes, he's blind.
So the big thing is they're being very subtle in how they're pushing her because they clearly want her. And I mean, you see this partly from Payne's perspective. They clearly want her to identify this man as Steve. But they don't it's subtle. It's actually really realistic. They don't ever say, they're just like,
they let her get overtired. They let her get like, you know, she hasn't eaten, she hasn't slept. They're just like, well, is it him? Is it him? And like, again, like Sarah said, it's very subtle. There is a part where Payne gives this implication. It's just like, when she walks in, she's like, I can't identify. Like, what do you want me to look at? There's nothing to look at. She's like, his arms are in cast. He doesn't have fingerprints. I can't see his face. It's just a mouth. And he's like, well, there are other things you can look at.
Yes, yeah.
And I was like, yes, we're going to do the face-off conundrum. Because in face-off, this has always been my problem. Well, I can't explain face-off without watching the movie Face-Off. But when...
yeah, well, I mean, it's in the title.
When Nick Cage is the good one, he has sex with what's-her-face, long ass. Mm-hmm. And I was like, is his whole body changed? Because, like...
They made it clear it's just the face. Like, the whole thing is that it's just the face.
It's just the face. But I think as he gets taller or shorter, too. But, like...
They kind of hand-wave that off.
Joan,
did they give him a dick plant?
Yeah, I was like, I mean, wouldn't you notice a different D? Like...
I don't know. You think you would. But, I mean, if it was similar...
I guess so. I guess if you're not like,
I mean,
really
unless your
getting
husband
the
has like
line
a
up.
snake tattoo, you know.
But like, yeah. So they asked.
I mean, generally, I identify it by context clues because it's always like attached to the dude I married. So I mean, I don't know if I saw it just like laying on the road, Bobbitt style, if I'd be like,
I mean,
yes, officer.
Yeah, but also, like, I think, yeah. Anyway, in terms of Face Off, like, if all of a sudden he's like sticking it in different, you would know that.
Yeah, oh yeah. I think you might not know to look at it.
I mean, unless Castor Troy like studied the I remember the name. If he studied like the John Travolta method of banging.
Yeah. I don't know that you would identify it unless it was very different. Like maybe yours is a two-tone or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that you would definitely notice the difference in the banging. I mean, like, you know, I feel like if you've been married to somebody, you got a routine.
Anyway, so I mean, she does Joan Allen. She comes out like with a pep in her step. So we do know the implication is that John Travolta, or whichever one is better at it. Again, I can't explain the movie if I'm not watching it. It's a whole thing. It's like face blindness, but I have face off blindness. So,
Joe Bob Briggs is in that movie as the doctor.
It's so great.
So anyway, she does not look at the dick. She says she doesn't look at the dick. I bet she does that.
Rude.
She spends a lot of time in that room. But so they push her in the sense that they're like, well, look and see if there's any birthmarks, or in other words, they're pushing her. They're not shoving her, but like they're not really saying rule him out.
Yes.
They're saying prove it's Steve. Just confirm that it's Steve. And then she's like,
psyops business happening. Yeah.
And she she's told that both this guy has brown eyes. But then, like, what she gets upset about later is she realizes, wait a minute, the other guy obviously had brown eyes too.
Yeah. Well, so finally she's just like, yes. And she's like, if he has brown eyes, then it must be Steve. And she's like, can I go home now? And they're like, no, you've got to stay here.
Well, it turns out that when she's there and, like, touching his arm, he's, like, less dead. He's like he's less, his vital signs are better and everything, so like you have to stay.
The best perspective change in all of romance like novels that we've ever done is the coma guy perspective.
Oh yeah.
We get some like
I do love a coma guy perspective.
We get some it's very dark where I am.
I hear a soft voice.
This voice. This thing is touching me. That's grounding me to this mortal plane. And so you know, Payne is like, hey, you lost your job, right? And she's like, yeah. He's like, we're going to pay you to stay here.
And we're going to pay your rent, too.
And take care of this guy.
And she should have been like, excuse me?
I'd have done it. I would have.
Well, yeah.
I would have stayed with Full Attraction guy.
Oh, no, I absolutely would have. Like, oh, yeah, that's for sure, Steve. But, I mean, like, it should have, like caused some concerns in here. Yeah. Like, okay, so this guy is not your guy. And out of the goodness of your heart, you are keeping him at the Bethesda Naval Hospital, and you're putting me up in an apartment. You're paying for my New York apartment.
Also, fair enough, she hasn't really had any kind of food in like 6 months. So I think
and she's been isolated. It's
she's got that like hungry brain. So she's like, yeah, that totally makes sense. That works. Yeah. So she starts, she's there every day talking to Steve, and she just notices Steve has a different aura about him, even in full body traction.
Yeah. When he's not moving or talking or doing anything,
full body disorderly.
This is probably all like code words for his dick, right?
Yeah. He is in that comedy traction thing, and she's just like, he's got.
Well, finally, he starts able to communicate. Like, he wakes up at the, like, kind of like halfway to communicate by tensing his, like, he's like flexing. He's like doing the Top Gun volleyball flex.
He's doing that.
Like, A, B, C.
So, but it's kind of clever because they start having conversations.
Yeah, but, like, you know how long it takes to have a conversation?
God,
and he's kind of an ass. Like, he's kind of a brusque asshole via arm clench.
He's all like, you hot? Like, why don't you touch it a little bit, that kind
he actually says like he's concerned that his dick has been burned off or fallen off or is in like a dick cast.
This is a valid concern.
That's true.
I mean,
That's true.
You don't know if you're in a full body cast and you are blind, you'd be like, oh, shit, is my dick still there? I don't even have a dick, and I would wonder. I'd be like, where's my dick?
Well, he wants her to confirm, but she refuses to do that.
Yes.
I guess she's probably tired of looking at it.
So it's all this like the first it's
This is quite a lengthy part of the book, actually. It's by far the lengthiest part of the book. Like, even, like, there's action later, but it's, like, all kind of follows on this. And what she's concerned about the whole time, she's calling him Steve. She's talking to him all the time. She's sure that it's Steve, but she knows what's going to happen is the first, like, so they're going to, like, slowly bring him out of the coma. And the last thing that's going to happen is that his eye bandages come off.
Well, he has to have eye surgery. Yeah. He has to have this eye surgery. And she's like, at first she thinks, okay, I'm just here until he wakes up. And then I'm just here until he has the surgery. And Paige's like, no, you got to help rehabilitate his ass. So
like, he's becoming more and more. So, like, when he wakes up, the first thing he wants her to do is kiss him. Yeah. Like, oh my God, do you know how long he's been in? I understand that the nurses probably do some kind of oral care. No.
Yeah, they do.
No, that's not happening. I don't care.
That's how she knew that Steve had a better presence, that she was doing oral care. So, yeah, they start rehabilitation while he's still blind, and, like, he's just walking around that fucking hospital with no eyes. Old Steve, no eyes, just walking around. At this point, he is, he's in a wheelchair, and then he's in his, like, little walking cast, but he's still, like, got his face bandages on.
And he makes her take him for walks, and,
Like, but he's, like, and she's like, this guy's, like, got really sharp senses.
Uh-huh.
And so she starts thinking that her Steve could have been a spy.
Right. Which actually kind of makes sense with the way that she talks about, like, he was always gone. Like, it was, and so, like, and I appreciate the way that she's thinking here because, obviously, this guy's much more muscular and also, obviously, I mean, Steve got jacked in 5 years. It happens.
Yeah.
But then, like, maybe Steve was always, because it's obvious, like, that whatever's going on, he's not just a rando civilian.
And she's not stupid. She knows that he's in this hospital for a reason. He's in this protected hospital. And so
he gets his hand bandages taken off, and the first thing that he wants to do is touch her boobs.
Well, he's got, like, virgin hands again, so I get it. I would be like, the first thing I would want my virgin hands to touch is, like, something fun.
Yeah, but he could be a little more chill about it.
He does kind of honk them. He's like,
yeah, and I mean, he's... aggressive is the wrong word because, like, he takes no for an answer, but he continues to push tomorrow. It's like that. But I mean, like I'm sorry. Like, how about, like, I'd like to feel your face or whatever, and then touch your boobs. No, I want to touch your boobs,
like
bitch.
A 13-year-old.
Put the boob in the hand now.
He's like a 13-year-old.
Yes,
a little bit.
He is.
When she says, though, he just comes and asks in a different way. Mm-hmm. Or, like, he's like, if I wait 5 minutes, she'll forget.
Yes.
So
there's even a scene where he, like, kind of, like, sneaks up on her, like, in the nurses' lounge, and the nurses are, like, keep coming in, like, oh, excuse me. They're just making out, and he's trying to, like, push it, and like, no.
Like, your legs are in cast. Like, we're not doing this. And he's like, it'll be fine,
dudes are like that.
They are like that.
Yeah.
So
finally, he gets the eye bandages taken off, and the second she sees him without the bandages, because, I mean, it's like the glamour don'ts, like, you can't recognize somebody with just that little bump. She's like, that's not Steve.
She freaks out. It's really well done. Like, she just takes off running. And,
but she's not stupid, because she realizes, like, shit, this is to protect this guy.
Yeah.
So I can't let on that I know that it's not Steve, because, like, now this all makes sense.
I can't let them know that I know that they know.
It's like this for the rest of the book. I know that you know, but you don't know that I know that you know that.
It's so good. So, yeah, Steve comes looking for her. He's like, hey, baby, what's wrong? And she's like, nothing.
It's just been a really rough 6 fucking months, bitch.
Yeah.
And so he wants to put it in real quick. And she's like, she says no. Because she doesn't feel
like... She still has amnesia. We have forgotten.
Yeah. Oh, we forgot about the amnesia.
Well, how did we forget about amnesia?
This is our first amnesia. Oh, my God. So he's not, like, grabbing tits because, like, he just wants to grab tits. He thinks this is his ex-wife because he doesn't know... He remembers nothing.
Motherfucker has amnesia.
It's like the full soap opera amnesia where you remember how to tie your shoes and you remember who's the president of Paraguay, but you don't remember anything about your life.
And he knows both of those things. He knows how to tie his shoes. And the president of Paraguay.
He thinks he's like, because he knows geography facts, he figures he must have been a spy. I know geography facts. I had to study them to be on Jeopardy.
Well, there's a fine line between Dorky McDork pants and Spy, I guess. Oh.
Hey, that's why I'm the most effective spy. Nobody would ever suspect me.
You'd be the worst spy, though.
No, everybody would think that because, like, you just think I can't keep my mouth shut about anything.
Oh my God.
But that's just my spy cover.
Your I told you so-ness, your know-it-all-itis would get you murdered because, like, the guy that you're supposed to be marking would say something wrong and you'd be like, well, actually, I've been the spy all along. I fooled you. Like, that would be your
That's
downfall.
probably true. Okay, so anyway, we forgot to say amnesia.
Fucking motherfucking amnesia.
So he believes that he is Steve because why shouldn't he? Everybody else around him is calling him Steve, right? So he thinks
he's got motherfucking amnesia.
But so now she doesn't want to have sex with him because she doesn't want to have sex with somebody whose name she doesn't know. Affair. And I mean, she doesn't say this, but it's also a consent issue. You shouldn't have sex with somebody under false pretenses.
Yeah, when people have motherfucking amnesia, you can't have consensual sex with
And
them.
so he's all like, why don't you want to have sex with me? My penis is sad and you hurt my feelings. But she won't say because she knows she has to protect him. And, you know, and so it's like that. And he's feeling much better. He still needs, like, a...
this dude, like, I mean, okay, like, this book does a really good job of, like, condensing an extended period of time because he has been in the hospital for months. Like, you know, she gets there before, like, she gets there probably, like, at the beginning of November. And, like, by the time he is healed up, it's, like, January, February. But, like, still... That is really fast parking, like, you know.
Well, they talk about that in the book, though.
Yeah,
he's the guy who will not stay in fucking bed. Of course, in my experience, those are the guys who usually end up back in bed because they overdo it.
But you know what? They don't have that big energy.
That's true. Well, I mean, it's easy to get out of your cast when you have a tripod situation going on, you know?
That's what was bracing up his arm when he was in full body traction.
Yes.
Was his, you know. This book.
So currently, where we are and who knows what is that she knows he is not Steve, and he does not know that he is not Steve.
She knows, and Payne knows, and then this mysterious person called the man who Payne works for, they all know that Steve is not Steve. But Steve doesn't know that they know because he doesn't know anything because he has what?
Amnesia.
Motherfucking amnesia.
So... But what we find out is that they're trying to draw out the guy who was responsible for, like, the big fireball that happened earlier.
Piggott.
I don't know if it's Pigo or what, but it's P-I-G-G-O-T. Okay, Piggott. And, of course, it's, like, international spy shit, right? You know, like, good old classic international spy shit. And so what are they going to do now? Like, they want him to stay in the hospital because it's like, we got, like, 1,000 guards. But...
He has figured out at this point that he is a spy.
Yes.
And he's like, hey, you got to get me and Jay somewhere safe. And Payne's like, boo, I got you. He's like, you know what? Because this is what Payne said. Because Payne wrote the book in my mind. He was like, not only have I given you a broken face and full body traction and motherfucking amnesia, but I'm also going to give you the fourth heat. I'm going to give you the fourth heat, and I'm going to give you isolated cabin in the mountains.
Although I had to say, this cabin obviously was not, like, the romance community was not consulted. This cabin has 2 bedrooms.
Well, yeah, it does. But you know what I liked about it? We'll get into practical consideration land comes into play later. So they go to this cabin in Colorado.
And it's, like, so far off the main road that I don't even understand how you can get there. Like, in a car.
You had to take, like, a donkey, and, like, the donkey pulled your Jeep Wrangler.
And they're doing all this stuff really smartly. Like, Not Steve is like, okay, no, we're not buying clothes. For one thing, we're not buying clothes here in New York. Or D.C. because they won't be actually warm.
We're not getting no city clothes.
But then, like, we need to, like, buy, like, you know, and get what people actually wear there. And we need to go to several different towns so that we're not entirely outfitting ourselves in one town. You know, it's a whole thing. So they buy all their Colorado clothes and they go with Payne to this incredibly remote cabin. They talk about getting her, like, a rifle and teaching her how to shoot, but that never comes up again, so whatever. And then Payne stays a few nights and leaves them.
Set up tripwires.
Yeah, there's laser tripwires. There's a lot of discussion about laser tripwires.
I was very worried because they kept talking about killing buddies, like, by accident. And I was like, oh, God, we're going to have a dead buddy. But we don't. There's no dead buddy.
No dead animals in this.
No dead animals. So they're at the cabin, and he keeps being like,
Hey.
You know what it is? It's like, okay, you remember like the Saturday Night Live thing with the two, with Will Ferrell and I think it was Chris Kattan where they did like the side head bump and they would get up to a girl at the club and like do that
Like,
bumping.
oh my God, get up.
Yeah, it's that level. Like it's not ever like gross. It's just annoying.
It's annoying, and that's the thing. And she can't explain because she has to keep on like making excuses, which she should not obviously have to do.
Right.
But her reason is that like, and which is completely fair, is that this guy is not Steve.
This is not Steve.
And A, I don't want to accidentally blurt something out, but B, I don't want to have sex with a man whose name I don't know. Well, that's reasonable.
And Steve at the moment starts like regaining his memories, but they're like in movie form.
Yeah, it's actually really clever how it's done. It'll be things that are obviously movies mixed in with things that seem like they're probably real life, but it's kind of cleverly written. And meanwhile, it's like really cold, and they're in the cabin. He's always like out there patrolling the perimeter, but it's really homey.
Yeah.
Fires and flannels and that kind of thing. And then he's always like, "Can I put it in? Can I put it in?"
Favorite of the sexy foods, beans.
I do appreciate a bean.
They always having sexy beans. And then he's got this little there's like a shack that he can go out if he has to contact Payne in case of emergencies.
So all the
there's like a
electronics
satellite radio. I mean, he's not just in a shack like sending smoke signals.
It's like a high tech cabin business.
Yes,
but so they get like a warm front comes through, even though it's a Chinook. Yeah. So it gets really warm, and I guess all the staff rises.
It was funny when they first said there's like the Chinook is here. I was like, what the fuck? There's a helicopter? Why are they acting like no big deal? It's like there's a big military helicopter. You guys need to be freaking out. So there's this warm front, but it's really cute because Jay has some sass to her, and he's like outside washing the truck.
Yeah, he's washing the Jeep because he's like that dude. He's got to do stuff. He's like driving crazy.
So she like sprays him down with the. She's wearing a white. It's because the Chinook came through. Like the weather is like 50 degrees,
and she knows it's not really warm enough for this white sundress. But you've been trapped in this like cold weather for so long that you wear something that it's too cold for just because you're so excited to be out.
They're having banter. They're having banter. Banter.
Of course, he's like, "Can I fuck you?" And no, God damn it, no.
So she just sprays him down with the hose, and they play wrestle, and then he sprays her down with the hose.
And she's soaking wet in her white sundress, so you can imagine.
It's pretty hot. And so they're in this field, like they're kind of in this little field by the...
It's freezing and muddy.
Yeah. And then they do it. And
it's not good, actually.
No, it's not good. It's not great.
And she says, okay, it's like a no, yes kind of situation. So this is your like light ravishing.
Yeah.
And I mean, but it's weirdly realistic because like he like can't get it in right first, and she's like and
he does. Like, he has to do that like where he drops things and puts it in wrong. And then they go back inside. This is where the two beds come into place.
Oh, yes.
So he's like, you know what? That was terrible. Let me make it better. And he does.
And he's really apologetic because he's like, I'm sorry. I was way too rough. I don't know what came over me. I haven't had sex in 6 months. She's freezing. So they get in a hot shower. Yeah. So she's kind of like a little bit, not catatonic, but like she's a
little shell shocked.
Yeah, she's a little shell shocked. It was a big experience for her. And also it's fucking freezing outside. Yeah. So, and so they're soaking wet. And he carries her into the bed and does it right. And so, they're in these soaking wet sheets. And then he's like, well, fuck this shit. We got a whole drive bedroom next door.
They do it. And that sort of, breaks the dam. She's like, well, fine. Just fine.
Well, now we're doing it.
We're doing it. We're just, And so they do it a lot. And it's very good. And it's just like, this is better than, anything I ever had with anybody else. So...
I can tell this ain't Steve.
If his eyes didn't give him away, if his yellow eyes didn't give him away, He's
got them wolf eyes.
He's got them tawny eyes.
Which I mean, like you say, wolf. I see like my dumb, terrified pit bull. Like he's got like Crypto's eyes,
weird amber eyes. So they're doing it. Things are going well.
Well, he has to go for a checkup on his eyes, and it's like a really important one. And also, he's been having trouble with close-in stuff. Yeah. So like he really does need to go.
Please remember, he broke his whole ass face.
Yeah. Which they never tell us exactly what the fuck happened in that. Like, what was it? An oil refinery fire? Like, what happened to make these into... we don't know. They never said.
Spy business, baby.
Spy business. It's spy and spy business. It's spy versus spy, you could almost say. So, and I mean, like, she goes, like, into their... the details of exactly how they were so careful, like, to not leave tracks and not, all this and that.
Yeah.
And I really like all that little spy business stuff.
Yeah.
And they go, and of course they share, like, Jason hotel rooms with Payne again. This poor guy's like, oh my fucking God, can you move the bed away from the wall? Because it's Motel 2. Has like no fucking insulation, and you guys are exhausting.
Yeah.
So all the time that this is happening, he's starting to get more and more memory back, and on the way back to the cabin, like it breaks, and he remembers everything, and he remembers that he's not Steve. And so of course he thinks that she's been lying to him this whole time in a manipulative sort of way, not in a save your ass life kind of way. And it's bad. Like that's like the third act black moment.
Yeah. So like she tries to explain it, but doesn't explain it well because, he's like, well, what, he's like, well, so they paid you. And she's like, well, yes, but not like you're,
Yeah, she doesn't really get a chance to get her thoughts together to explain it. I mean, it's actually surprisingly really realistic for an amnesia, remembery spy thing.
Hey, motherfucking amnesia.
So while all this is happening, of course, they get back to the cabin and they don't trust that nobody's been there in their absence, so they have to kind of like
what
sneak up on
happens
it.
is that they have Payne, the man, and who we now know is Lucas, have realized that there is someone who is a mole in their midst. Or the man has. So he sets up a false sighting of Piggott. And so he's like trying to see, like he gives out this information and he needs to see how it gets kind of around. And so that's what they're working on. Meanwhile, we've got some peril. We've got some light peril. We've got people who are looking for...
Well, okay, so Piggott does land in Mexico City.
Yes.
And so they call, it's Luke is his actual name. And, of course, they're not speaking to each other, and they have just got back to the cabin. Yeah. They call him and say, you gotta fucking run, because he's gonna find out where you are obviously, Piggott is like a master spy.
Yeah.
So they book it, and, like, they almost get caught by the car full of goons coming up. They see the headlights and they're able to pull off quietly and they sneak out. And they stop at a gas station on the way out of town and she's trying to explain herself and he's not listening. And there's like a sheriff's car that I guess they leave there. Here, I don't know if they do that elsewhere. The cops will like leave a car places like at the State House, but they won't like have anybody in it. It's just that you think the cops are there.
Yeah.
Yeah. When the Confederate flag was still up at the State House, there was always a dusty ass police car that had not been moved. Probably like the battery is probably dead. So there's this abandoned sheriff's car there, and he says, "Let me out," and because he's like, "I'm gonna hotwire it. I'm gonna go fucking finish this." And as she's leaving, she says, and he's like, "You go call Payne, and like get to the next town, call Payne, let them put you in a safe house." And so as she's leaving, she said, "I did it to keep you safe, you sack of fucking shit."
Yeah,
and that's like her, like
her storm out, her drive off, her storm out,
her storm out, and and he's terrified after that because she does not call Payne.
No,
she drives her happy ass back to New York City.
New York City, yeah. So the book does this weird jump cut where it's like, I've taken care of Piggott. Where is she? And Payne's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I will remind you, this is a silhouette special edition, so it cannot be more than, it is exactly 252 pages.
Yeah, so...
I would like to read the 400-page version of this, because, like, all the actual suspense stuff happens.
Yeah. So, they end up... Now I'm all paranoid, because I saw something in my glass. I was like, amnesia's coming for me. Motherfucking amnesia.
See, you won't see it coming because that's the way it works. But you know what didn't happen though? He didn't get his memory back by getting hit on the head.
I was expecting a reverse head bonk.
I know, that's always how it works.
Like that would have made this book perfect. Like this book was like 90% perfect. If there had been a reverse head bonk, that would have like,
because we all know that's how you cure amnesia, right?
Yes, everybody knows. I mean, I've watched all the soap operas. That's exactly how they do it. So he goes looking for her and he finds her in New York City. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" And she's like, "Well, you didn't want me." He's like, "No, I was just mad for a minute. You had to let me work through some shit." And I was like, "Well, you could have told her that, dumbass."
Yeah, right? You could have, you did not give her a chance to talk, ever. She tried to talk. Mm-hmm. It wasn't one of those things where she's like, "I'm not going to tell you," because it was not like a Jude Devereaux.
But it was really, like, great, because she was like, "Well, I'm not equipped to be, like, the partner of a spy. And he's like, yeah, fuck that. He's like, I'm not going to be a spy anymore. I broke my face.
Yeah.
He's like, we're going to get married. Like, we're going to the courthouse now. We're going to get married. You're going to have babies. And I'm just going to, like, live off my government paycheck.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, okay, well, in that case, let's do that.
Yeah, and that's the end.
That's the end. They do. I mean, it is kind of an adult conversation because she explains it. Like, she's like, okay, I didn't realize until I had time to think about it much later that they were leading me to identifying you, and then I realized when I realized that you were not Steve, that the reason they did that was the way they could most safeguard you, is that if you had if you were clearly, proven to be not you. They never say what the fuck happened with actual Steve, and he obviously died, but like, why was he there? Where was this? What happened? None of these things are explained. No.
During the break, I'll be singing my full rendition of Motherfucking Amnesia.
Oh, my God.
I could do like a 70, like the easy listening. Amnesia. Motherfucking amnesia. Okay. So, this book was such a delight.
Yes, it was fun. You ready to do questions?
Oh, my God. I've been ready to do questions for this book forever because there are things that we have not even talked about.
No!
There's so much that we have not, like, that we've got surprises. We've got surprises.
You know what's surprising? Everything is surprising to you? When you have amnesia.
When you got motherfucking amnesia. Okay.
I'm starting to kind of like build like the chorus. Yeah.
You like it.
So has it got big dick energy or big dick energy?
This is the hottest dude.
He is hot.
When you can, Linda, I've got a fist up in the sky. When you can make a man in full body traction with just his mouth showing a sexually viable candidate, that's fucking writing.
Well, it's because like all she could touch was his biceps.
You know what? Like you guys could all like fuck off with like Faulkner's, a light August, that kind of business. When you can write a man as a sexually viable option for a 30-year-old woman when he is in a full body cast, including his leg up in his brace, as this being an attractive person.
Well, you know what's hot about that though is that he clearly has baller health insurance.
He does. I mean, it says spy money, baby. It says spy money. Now, I mean, aside from him being like a gross 13-year-old boy, like I was in it. What? I have to talk about it before. Like, so when the big action thing is happening, I don't know why he is dressed like this, but like they're sneaking around. They're doing the sneak around.
Uh-huh.
They're hiding from the goons. Homeboy is basically like barefoot, jeans, no shirt, and a Sherpa jacket.
Oh yeah, I do.
Jacket, like that shearling jacket. I was like, this is it. This is it for me. Like, give me this outfit. Give me tawny dude with a little bit of chest hair, because she talks about his chest hair. It's not a lot, but it's just like a regular.
They had it shaved when he was in the hospital, and she was like watching it grow back in real time.
And you put him in like that shit, like that jacket.
That jacket's hot.
The tan jacket.
Yes.
That shearling interior. Like, yes,
that is
sign
hot.
me up, motherfucker.
Because they had to run, so they didn't have time for socks. I would think your bug out kit would have fucking socks in it.
The B-side to motherfucking amnesia is shearling jacket and no shirt. Like, that's my hit record, everybody. Thank you.
Well, yes, it's unusual that a guy who is so sexually aggressive is a guy that I think is good in a romance novel of this vintage, because he is obnoxious in his, hey, can I put it in now? What about now?
I felt like he was like...
It's the competency porn part
But
of
I think it's that, and also I think it's like him under this like, to me, it wasn't so much as this aggressive as like... wanting some kind of intimacy with this person that he thought that he had intimacy with. And just like, I mean, I totally understand what you're saying, but like, I think more so than like, it'd be a weird thing of like, obviously she cares about him. Obviously she's in love with him and he knows it. And that's one of the things is like at the very end, she has told him that she loves him and he's like, I know. And she's like, well, it'd be nice to hear. She does the thing where she's like, basically use your words.
Uh-huh. But he has been saying since I got to Colorado, let's get married. Let's get married.
Yes,
let's get married.
He's in it. And I think it was just more...
Yeah, he's completely committed to her entirely.
I think, like, Linda uses the sex thing as, like, him being kind of, like, what's the deal?
Yeah. Why won't you be intimate with me, not just sexually, but like why,
Yeah.
what is it? What is wrong? What is,
Yeah. So I think that was the thing, is it's never like, I mean, to me it was annoying, but it wasn't predatory.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And he always, like I said, he always took no for an answer, like now. And then like, oh, God, just let me make these beans.
Yeah. And I think what was also interesting is like, these books are part of this is part of a series. And I think you meet him in one of the prior books, because toward the end, Payne...
Oh, maybe it explains what the fuck happened to the... I don't know why I'm saying oil refinery, but did they say it was an oil refinery, or have I just played a lot of games? Where...
we'll say it's... So I think you meet him in one of the prior books, because he used to be kind of a playboy, and they talk about, like, the man. You find out the man was the main character in the book prior, and he sent them kind of like as his... I know what I'm doing to fuck cabin that he and his person went to.
Yeah, it's his fuck cabin.
It's his fuck cabin.
So that's how you know the man cares about you and wants what's best for you. Yeah.
So he tells Lucas, he's like, you were too handsome anyway. Glad you broke your face.
And what I like about it is that, like he heals back, and they're like, he's not classically handsome. Like,
no, I mean,
he had his face all busted up,
his whole ass face got broken. His whole fucking face.
Yeah.
I really liked him.
Would you talk shit with her about the heroine?
Oh, she was so great.
Frankly, I was concerned by the end of it that she deserved a dude who was maybe a little bit better than that. Like, is he really going to be good for her long term?
Here's the thing, but yes,
because she was such a well-realized character.
He quit his job. He was like She had him wrapped around his
You mean he quit the job that had, broke his entire face? Because I quit that job, too.
But anyway, what was great about her is she had so much sass, and there were so many, aspects that would be, real world. Okay, so there's this part of the book where they're isolated fuck cabin, and she's looking for him, and she can't find him. And he's all, doing spy games. And she's like, where the fuck is this guy? She's wandering around outside. She can't find him. And all of a sudden, he, jumps out of a tree, yeah! And she's like, yeah! And he's like, what are you doing out here? I could have hurt you.
It's that classic romance novel thing where he, almost kills you because you startle him.
But then she's like, you son of a bitch. And he's like, she takes basically takes a tree branch and just starts beating the crap out of him.
Yeah, and when he takes the tree branch away, she takes her hat and starts beating him with that,
And he's like, what are you doing? She's like, you're the one. She's like, I came out here looking for you, and you're playing spy games, and you scare me. You almost kill me, and then you start yelling at me. And I was like,
yes!
Yeah, it was so great. She is awesome. I was a little worried at first, when they first introduced her, that she was just going to be business.
Yeah.
But she gets to do a office storm out, which is great.
Yeah, once she knows that she's going to be paid for by the U.S. government.
She worked her ass off, and then, the thing is she was kind of repressed in a way, because she had this job that was a very male dominated field, and they kept telling her that she had to be more like a man. And when she did that, then
they didn't like that either.
She got hired, they hired basically the son of somebody, and they wanted her to train him, and she was like, peace, I'm out. So it was great, which is interesting, and it leads to question number 3.
Yeah, okay, this is the odd thing about this book, because these are so well-realized characters. Bechdel to bitch. This is the book that has failed the Bechdel test harder than literally any other book we have read.
Right.
It's like Lawrence of Arabia style. There is no other woman in this book.
Right.
There's nameless nurses. That is the only other, ex people in this book, which is very rare. There's not, a different colored friend, a hair-colored friend, or,
This one didn't bother me because, again, it's a 250-page book.
And, I mean, she is such a well-realized character, so it's not, And
I think it's about taking her out of, her kind of element and being in this, spy world. And, I'd rather it be a book where it's, only one female character who is, actually put together versus, we got a blonde, we got to have a evil brunette.
Yeah.
And
I really do hate that, yeah.
I thought what was also interesting about this book was, in her description is, how she describes herself. She's like, I'm cute, I'm not pretty. She's like, I've got nice eyes. And I like that in the descriptions, and it doesn't really go with Bechdel bitch, but I like that in their descriptions of each other, it's never about how They're the most.
I mean, they're beautiful to each other, but they never talk about how, like, you know, how gorgeous they are, or, you know, especially not him.
Right.
But even her, like, you know, the book does not, she's not like, oh, I'm so ugly, and the book was like, actually, she was Miss America. Although, I don't know, I think those Miss America people look weird, but... Okay, but it is strange, however, like, that this is the least... females book we've ever read.
For sure.
Yeah, I just like an odd thing. I'm like, I'm surprised they didn't put in a female FBI agent or something, you know?
Something.
So, when it comes to consent, is this book more Robin Thicke or Marvin Gaye? Like we've discussed, like he is very sexually insistent, and of course, if you have had to deal with that in a real life partner, I'm sure it is, you know, right?
Right.
But you know, what's also not real life about this book?
Motherfucking amnesia.
Yeah, like there's no such thing as a kind of amnesia either. I don't even know if there's really such thing as this kind of spy. You know?
I think it was, again, for me, it was like his sexual insistence was more about like an intimate insistence. Like, but you know, this is back in where we can't write, you know, hey, hug me kind of books.
Yeah, and he's not a guy who's gonna, you know, he doesn't have that kind of EQ anyway, but
yeah.
So, what I really did like about it is when he did kind of have that, cold mud sex. And she was like, no, yes. So it was like that. But then, like, his remorse was great. And honestly, what happened after that was hot. So, you know, he's like, I was too rough with you. That he recognized that, you know? And, I don't know. It did not bother me as it has in other books because of just like the way it was framed.
For me, it wasn't predatory or menacing or anything like that. I think it was just like...
It was honestly kind of like, you know, like you said, 13-year-old, I just want to touch your boobs.
Yeah, I felt like I felt like it was more like, in just, again, not having the space or this being one of her earlier books, like, I'm all in, why aren't you all in?
Yeah, I mean, so obviously some people will feel differently, but to me it did not bother me like it would have and I mean, like, I guess maybe it was just the writing, because in very similar circumstances, I'm thinking about Ghost of a Chance.
Yes.
And that dude was fucking garbage.
Yes, and like what I liked about this one is they're both of like similar ages. There's a 5-year age difference. So she's 30, he's 35, so they're grown-ass people.
Yeah.
So it didn't bother me as much as like the one in Double Standards. That one was really upsetting for me.
And she feels very comfortable saying no.
Yes.
Like, no, I will not have sex with you. I am making beans.
Exactly. And he's like, but I've got motherfucking amnesia.
Yeah, and we're like, okay, well, eat your fucking beans, bitch. See, I think that if they had had the Rancho Gordo Bean Club in 1988, I feel that she would have been a plank owner.
Oh, my God. Okay, so how
Andy Richter's in the Rancho Gordo Bean Club.
Oh my God.
Padma Lakshmi just found out about it.
Oh, then she's lost her, like...
I know. I'm more on top of shit.
I know. How badly are you judging your mama for reading this book?
Not at all.
I'd love it. This is, again, like, I love these kind of books because it's very got that Romancing the Stone feel. Where
I just don't understand why we haven't found more really good romantic suspense from this time period. Because, you know, I mean, there's always a peril in these books, but it's not always well done.
We are, like, barreling down on our 3-year anniversary.
Yes, we are.
And how is this our first motherfucking amnesia?
Yeah, we were shocked that we had never done an amnesia book. Because, I mean, I feel like they were everywhere, right?
You know what I really want? I want us, like, forever.
Rebecca Weatherspoon just wrote one.
All I want is, like...
It's called A Cowboy to Remember.
Now all I want is whenever, if we ever get another one, like our intro instead of our music to be like the...
We'll write it. We'll write the whole thing.
Amnesia remix, you know? Now it's like I got performance anxiety. Because I've got motherfucking amnesia. He doesn't remember his name. He doesn't know where he is. But he can fire a gun and touch a boob and go down on you. He's got motherfucking amnesia.
That is beautiful.
I like how that turned into Good Times at the end. Ain't we lucky we got it? Motherfucking amnesia.
And then you like the breakdown, like at the end, like the.
So, yeah.
Every season we'll do a new intro, like the. Am I allowed to reference the Cosby Show?
Mm-hmm. Us in our sweaters dancing to motherfucking amnesia.
I'll knit something. So, would Scarlett Johansson be in the movie? Well, it's in Colorado mostly, and everybody's white.
You know what the fuck we haven't talked about?
What?
We haven't talked about the fucking map.
Oh, shit, the map! Oh, my God. Okay, forget Scarlett Johansson for a minute. That
map, I threw that shit in the river. That map wasn't doing us no good. We couldn't read the map. I could read the map.
I knew exactly where we were on that map, Courtney.
You've dabbed us all.
So, okay, first of all, you have to remember the shape of Colorado. What is the shape of Colorado, Courtney?
I don't know, because I've got motherfucking amnesia.
Well, that's how I know that I'm a spy, because I know that Colorado's a fucking rectangle. So none of these books, I mean, okay.
Oh my God, it's glorious.
I cannot think of any book that we have read that has a map in it. Maybe I'm forgetting
I think we've had some, but like the maps have actually been sort of useful.
Yeah, I mean, like we haven't really done a real fantasy one.
We did the dragons, whatever, and I think there's a map in that.
Oh, yeah, okay, there was a map in Dragon Riders of Pern, for sure.
Yeah,
but this is a map. There's a map in this book.
It's glorious. We're going to do something, we're going to put this up. Don't worry.
Yes.
See the map.
This is the best thing about this book. Forget the hot dude, forget Amnesia. No, it's this map. Because, the map is just a fucking rectangle because it's Colorado. And it has mostly just places that are really in Colorado that you could have looked up where the fuck they were. It's got Denver with the star, because that's the capital of Colorado, and Colorado Springs and Pueblo and Grand Junction, places that aren't even in this book. And then it tells you carefully underlined places are fictitious. And then just in the middle of fucking nowhere in Colorado in the mountains, it's got cabin and Black Bull, which is a made-up town.
This is supposed to be fun story. So this is actually, I think where she is a town called, her fictional place is where my dad went this summer to take care of a distant relative's estate. We'll call it an estate.
Did your dad go to a fuck cabin?
Girl, yeah. It was a hoarder one. But...
Well, yeah, but maybe in 1988, I'm talking about.
Yeah, so he was he's a town called Lake City. The only thing it's known for
it's not on the map.
Is
well, what the fuck? It's not on the map.
Is
Give up.
But it's near, it's not near, but it's, the only thing it's famous for is a cannibalism incident, because it's right there in that Mormon trail.
Oh.
And so,
I do love a cannibal.
It's the most rural, I guess, as far as population density, it's the most rural place in the lower 48.
Oh, so this is totally where this is.
Yeah.
So you didn't need a map.
I didn't need a map. I know where it is, because my dad doesn't have motherfucking amnesia.
We are going to put the picture of this, the dumbest, most useless map. You don't need the map, because they just go to the cabin and stay there. It's not like the kind of thing where they go to lots of different places, or, so in the Pern book...
Wait, even better is, around the map, around...
Oh, yeah, it has the other states, in case you don't know where Colorado is.
It's these weird, but the way that they're,
Yeah, it's not even right.
No, but they're, complete squares, just telling you what's around that one square.
Well, you have to go to our website and look at this fucking map, and we'll put it on Facebook and Twitter too, because normally we want to drive your traffic to the website, but the world needs to see this map, and there is no need for it. So in Dragon Riders of Pern, the map is important because they have to get all the different weird leaders, and then they have to know where the thread is, all this stuff. You consult the map throughout the book. You can easily have forgotten, if you accidentally skimmed too far, you would have missed this map and you'd have lost out.
The map is played by Scarlett Johansson.
Yes. It's white and squarish
and just dull.
Yeah. Sorry. ScarJo, now that you're fighting the mouse, I feel a little bit more warmly inclined to you.
Anyway, so you're not leaving the house looking like this. Again, I've already told you about my outfit.
Oh, yeah. There is a lot of really great, flannel in this. The big one is...
Just that white sundress.
Yeah, that white sundress. Which
was the
first gets soaking wet so you can see all her booby bits, and then gets very muddy.
Yeah. Again, for me, it was shearling jacket with no shirt under. And shearling jacket, and I'm in the woods. That was that was a hot look.
I am down for that half dressed cowboy look. Yeah, I had to say
it was hot as fuck.
That is hot as fuck. Of course, the biggest outfit in the book is the full body cast. And nobody signs it. None of his friends come by to.
No,
dear Steve,
Steve,
have a nice trip.
The fat boys need to do their little beatbox thing with it. I can't beatbox.
You can't? Well, you're not going to try?
What was the fat boys to do that? I can't do it. That stupid, like, you know that.
Yeah, I can't also. And I'm not going to.
Oh, the fat boys.
Yeah. Oh, the fat boys. So would your 12-year-old self have dog-eared any pages? Definitely that scene where he puts her in the shower.
Yes, it was hot. Like, again, it was a hot book. I thought, like, their water fight, and then, like, him seeing her, like, you know, where it's, like, the white with her.
Good on her to, like, start a water fight with, like, a fucking international spy.
Yeah.
Like, I figure he's probably good at water fighting.
She ain't scared.
Nah, she ain't. And she always meets him like, you know, she never, like, steps back. Like, that's what I really liked about her. Right. But just, like, you know, she's all kind of, like, shaken. I mean, haven't we all been in a place, I guess, where, like, not even, like, having to do with freezing your ass off, having sex in the mud in your sundress, which was soaking wet because of a, like, fucking water fight you had, and it was under dubious consent issues, but just, like, you had sex with somebody and you were kind of a little bit shook. You know, so I don't know. I thought
you need to make some beans, and
I really, really liked that their sex, the mud sex was bad sex. Yeah. We almost never see that, even in contemporary romances. I don't mean contemporary. This is a contemporary romance, but romance is written now.
The only one that I can think of that I've read that like addresses it is Courtney Milan. Like she gives you, or Tessa Dare, or like. It's, you know, two virgins having sex and it's bad, you know, and like, so I really appreciated that.
Yeah, like, they have obviously never done it before, and it's also, by the way, freezing in the mud. Yeah. And so, like, he doesn't wrong hole it or anything, but, like, you know, kind of, like, bounces off, like,
It's one of those where it's like, yeah, I mean, things aren't well lubricated, and it's like, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure she was like, let me fucking do it, okay?
Yeah.
You know, like,
just let me handle it,
Yeah. So.
Okay, what pairs nicely with the dumpster fire?
Oh, it's got to be like something in front of a campfire, you know, like a
little
fireplace.
Fancier than like Coors. You know?
Oh, you know it's Cavassier because it's the 80s and these people are always drinking Cavassier.
Yes. So, should a human being in the 21st century read this book?
Yes, this book is surprisingly fun. I like this book actually quite a lot.
I loved it. This again. Me and Sarah have been debating. For me, I define it as a caper because...
It's not a caper.
You know what? You get to say your argument. You don't get to do this little undermining thing that you do. This is why you'd be a terrible spy. Because you got to do your little... Let me talk under my breath while you're talking. For me, I define it as a caper because while there is a sense of peril, what makes it silly is, one, the map. And two, the book starts off with a man's face being fucking fully broken, and he is in a full body cast a la Disorderlies, and it is implied that she should check his dick to see if it's the guy.
Okay,
that is what makes it a caper.
Yeah, I mean, I will concede that the amnesia, the full body cast, all that stuff is ridiculous enough, but I just think that the bulk of the suspense part is serious enough. I mean, like, there's real peril in a caper, but it's not handled as seriously as this is. And once he gets out of that full body cast, it's all like serious as a heart attack, you know?
I don't know. So, again, like
I feel it's suspense and a thriller and not a caper.
It's undercut, like when he's all, I could have killed you. She starts beating him with a stick. Like there's enough like levity in it for me.
And she's fucking serious about that stick though. She ain't.
But yes, but I'm saying like it's not. Again, they're basically eating beans and fucking, and again, he was in a full body cast in his whole face.
Yes, but
and he had motherfucking amnesia. So for me, it is a caper. For Sarah, it is a romantic suspense.
I would like to read a more caper book. And what that should have been is Ghost of a Champ.
I feel like we had,
because like that's like a seance fucking caper. That's a caper.
We had a caper in Dreaming of You, but it almost like that was too far on the other end.
Yeah, it was too silly.
But this is one of a series, and I would like to I think we should revisit the other one.
There's some capering. It's funny that all of our ghost books have capers. There's some capering in the Ivory Key.
Yeah, there is some capering.
But she capers by herself. And really, you need to caper with somebody else for maximum enjoyment.
You can't solo caper. That's just
they're just stealing from museums and
just caping. You gotta have the on it.
That's right.
So this has been our episode on Linda Howard's White Lies.
It is a hidden gem.
I loved it very much. And as usual, you guys can follow us, like us, rate us on iTunes. It is or wherever you listen to your podcast. It's a cheap way to support us. It helps us get aggregated. You can like us on YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter at BTipplers. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Bodice Tipplers. We have a Patreon if you want to throw your dollars our way at patreon.com/Bodice Tipplers.
And we have cool swag. We have stickers. We have tote bags. We have that sort of thing if you would like to support us at that level. Bodice Tipplers is part of the Frolic Network. Find more podcasts you'll love at frolic.media/podcasts.